The beginnings of the beeper saga. Innovation or theft? This is MacVoices. Got gift cards for the holidays but don't know what to use them for? Check out our MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide series for some of the best hardware recommendations and why they should be on your post-holiday shopping list. MacVoices.com/holiday gift guides. All one word, holiday gift guides. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's Tuesday night. That means this is MacVoices Live. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We have a number of folks in our chat room. You could be there too. So if you are not within the sound of my voice, which you probably aren't if you're not on YouTube, then mark yourself down for next Tuesday and get in there and join us because we have an awful lot of fun before, during, and after the show.
Chuck, technically,
yes,
they are in range of your voice, just not at the same time as you saying things.
That's true. That's true. And then there's the other temporal shift that comes with the fact that people are hearing this long after we've recorded it. Well, not
Wibbly
long
wobbly,
after, but
timey-wimey.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be one of those nights. Yeah, we got a lot of topics tonight to talk about, folks. So we're just going to jump right in. First of all, we'll rip around and see who's here and then get to it. Dave Ginsburg is up in the top left, as always, of my screen. Dave, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chuck. Good to see the panel. I'm glad to be here and look forward to some good topics this week. It's been a pretty busy week for Apple, actually.
Definitely. On the other side at the top, Mr. Eric Bolden is here. This time he has forgone birds and is now back to branches. Good to see you, Eric.
Goldfinch.
Oh, it is a goldfinch. I'm sorry. He's invisible. Okay.
Well, I thought I would go for subtle, quiet bird. And yeah, it doesn't talk much, won't interfere.
Okay.
Kind of hang out.
Okay, good to know. Yes, I'm sorry. I was so focused on the branch that I missed the bird. Yeah. That could be a show title. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs is here in the only tie of the evening. Brian, good to have you.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I think Ben Roethig is auditioning for. He's okay. We have another tie.
Yeah, woo!
No sweatshirt tie.
Yeah, he is auditioning for the Super Bowl halftime show.
It would probably be better than the one they have scheduled.
Can't wait for that wardrobe malfunction.
We're in trouble already.
Yes, we are.
Jeff Gamet has already offered his comments on temporal physics. Jeff, good to have you.
I'm surprised to be here. Also happy to be here.
Well,
you keep letting me in. I do appreciate it, though. It's great to get to hang out with you.
If for no other reason than just for entertainment purposes, it's good to have you.
I'll take it as I can get it.
Jim Ray is here as well. Jim, good to have you.
Good to be here.
You're looking
The challenge tonight is to see if you can tell any difference between me with brain damage and just me in general. Any other day.
Hopefully that it wasn't a whole lot of damage, but I'm glad that you were able to join us and we're not injured too severely.
We'll see.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Mark Fuccio is here as well. This time, I should know who that is, Mark, in your background, but I'm really not sure. I'm sorry.
What?
Oh, that's Ludwig van Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Okay.
He was born, 16th, 4 days from now. Way back when in 1770.
Okay. No one now. Sorry.
So
no
we're
wonder
coming up. I mean, a couple years ago on your MacVoices Christmas gift guide, I recommended, I think, 2 different versions of his complete works. And, then as now, still worth listening to and celebrating. So he's the background of the night.
Good job.
Chuck,
I like it.
When you're listening to those albums, you have to play them loud, just like he did.
Yeah.
What?
What?
I do play things loud.
What'd you say?
I do play things loud, Jeff. It's just not Beethoven.
Yeah.
So, and absolutely, last but not least, sneaking in under the wire after a little camera problem. Guy
A
Serle.
little bit.
Guy.
Hi.
Good,
Hey,
good
everybody.
to have you. Good
Thank
to have
you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, glad you made
Good to
it.
be half seen.
Okay. Right,
Yeah.
whatever. Yes, we got a lot of stuff to get through tonight. I've a lot of things I want to hear your thoughts on, but I feel like the first thing we have to talk about is Beeper and what all has happened. Because Beeper seems to come, Beeper seems to go. Now Apple has apparently blocked it. Beeper, the last I heard, and I don't know, maybe it changed today, but Ben, are you up on this? Because has something else developed today?
The last time I checked, they had themselves unblocked by disallowing numbers and requiring a sign-in.
That was the last thing
Right.
I saw, requiring your Apple ID.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do we really need to tell anybody why that's a bad idea?
Terrible. Terrible idea.
You know,
So I have a question. So did they do the same thing that the other companies have done so they're not like having you log into
There's no
their
relay.
server so they're actually going direct to Apple servers with a login.
Mm-hmm.
well, they were.
Well, they were originally, but they were spoofing or forging certificates, and Apple shut that down.
Right.
And so I'm just trying to figure out how they're getting people to be able to log in with an Apple ID now. I know I could probably read the articles, but
Jeff,
Who
Who
no,
has time for that?
well, I tell you, I haven't seen the mechanics of that. All I've seen covered is that you have to give them your Apple ID. So I don't know what the mechanics are after that, because it is specifically said Apple ID. It has not said password. So I admit I'm a little confused too. And so if we're all confused, think what everybody else is. But you just used the key word, in my opinion, and that's forged.
Right.
You know, so if they were forging it before, what are they doing now? And also, apparently now they're saying that it's now free, whereas last week it was a pay-for service.
Yeah, they turned that around quick.
my guess is
that was
they had attorneys tell them, no.
Better,
Stop
yeah.
charging for this right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mark?
I think.
Oh,
I think
so
our-
what's the point for them? What's in it for them?
Apple IDs. With or without a password.
Well, I don't know,
Um,
Guy. You're implying they're scammers. I don't know if that's. I don't know anything about the organization, but that's-
The person that's running up the company, I can't remember who it is. But I do remember they're
It's
actually
a guy who owned Pebble.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so someone who
Yeah, not
has a history of being legit.
not the social network Pebble. The
the watch.
the Pebble watch.
Oh, that successful device.
Well, it was success. It was relatively successful until the Apple Watch came out and trounced
Until
it.
it
But
wasn't.
yeah, I mean, it just got outclassed. But it was still. I mean, I wore a Pebble for over a year, and I know a lot of people that did. So I'm not ready to say that was a failure. It just got it was groundbreaking, and
It got replaced by something better called the Apple
Yeah.
Watch.
it took an arrow in the chest. So what are you going to do?
I think going back to Beeper, I think much has been made about, and we've had U.S. senators chime in that this is bad behavior by big bad monopolistic Apple. But I think the fact of the matter is, it's their servers. Forget what the app is. It's their servers. They get to determine who gets to use it and under what conditions.
And Mark,
I agree.
I'm so glad you
Mhm.
brought that up, because the senator in question was Elizabeth Warren, and she was touting the very lightweight feeling that, well, green bubbles, blue bubbles. Why is Apple making it insecure to chat? Chat should just work for everybody.
Apple,
Which
sorry, I'm talking.
well,
to you.
it's just so simplistic that, and it clearly is someone who doesn't understand the implications. And by the way, if she would leave her key under her mat, I'm sure we'd all be happy to go in and relax on her sofa.
To back up her jewelry and china and silverware, right?
Well,
Take it to your backup location.
Chuck, what I'm hearing is you're telling me and everyone in this audience that politicians don't understand technology. And I'm sorry, I've got to draw the line there.
Oh, I've really missed you, Guy.
Yeah. And Guy, that's kind of the point. It's like, this just felt like so much grandstanding.
Of course it is.
And well, of course it is. I hate that. I'd like to think that sometimes these comments are made with the best of intentions, but this just seemed like one of her pet things is always anti-tech, anti-big company. And so, and she just, in my humble opinion, because of her lack of understanding, which was so much on display, she did herself more harm than good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from a practical standpoint, what a single politician says is kind of immaterial right now. The bigger issue will be how the EU weighs on this.
Didn't I hear on Mac OS Ken on Monday, I think, that the EU said that, iMessage, is below whatever their threshold is, for being an essential service, and hence deeming worthy of being regulated.
I don't know about iOS Ken, but I did read that a week or two ago.
Yeah, I think they apparently dodged that bullet.
I'm not entirely sure, whether it's right or wrong. I'm not entirely sure bringing up a concern and trotting it out there potentially for some benefit is necessarily bad. I mean, technically, if things work correctly, the next step would be to hold hearings and then have a bunch of people chat about it and then say, okay, it's not an issue. That part isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm sort of in favor of occasionally trotting out some hearings, explaining what everything means, occasionally putting out some suggestions about kind of directions we might want to go in, and then everybody can, put their 2 cents worth in. So having a concern about an issue or a concern about a company or concern about large companies or whatever, I guess I like to give at least a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, even if somebody is wrong, as long as there's a venue for more information to come out.
So, broad strokes, politicians using broad strokes talking about technology is fine. It's when they focus on single issues that they end up sounding so very stupid. So for Elizabeth Warren or any of the senators or House speakers to come out and say, well, this is a concern because of issue XYZ and technology. If you don't understand the tech and you don't understand the implications of what it is that you're saying, then you probably shouldn't say it. And at least talk to someone who's a little more knowledgeable about the topic than to just come out with broad strokes and say, well, green bubbles, blue bubbles, if you don't know what the implications are of those green bubbles and blue bubbles.
Oh, you mix them and you get a yellow bubble.
Yeah.
And Eric, to be clear, you're referring to the to the beeper situation, not to the UK situation.
Well, it kind of it's beeper in this case. It might have been like Chat GPT in another case. It might be European regulation that then the US tries to do something. In each of the different cases, there, somebody comes up and has a concern. I would much prefer they have a concern, they chat about it, they have some hearings, there's feedback that says, nope, this doesn't make any sense, and then they let it go. As opposed to just trotting out a bunch of regulation that you then have to try to fix and roll back because they managed to sneak it in on some bill.
Think of the children.
Now, who else in Congress would bring it up as an issue? Yeah, that kind of seems to be one of her things. If it's a large company that's doing something that's an issue, it gets talked about, as long as it gets talked about, dealt with, and then you can move on.
I guess the thing that or go ahead, Jim.
Well, I've been a fan of Elizabeth Warren in the past, but as far as I'm concerned, she just completely messed up here. And starting with, why is this a post on Twitter? Why is she even on Twitter? And it's such a simplistic, basically she's like, yeah, Apple shouldn't protect their servers against hacking. Really? That's the stand you want to take on this? So, it'd be one thing if she was, proposing a committee meeting or something, but this post that she made on Twitter was just nonsense. And yeah, I think it made her look dumb.
And the thing that bothered me the most about it, though, is it felt like she was advocating, and look, maybe she didn't understand this, but she's advocating somebody forging credentials, using somebody else's server. That's why I made the comment about the key under her mat. It's not like Beeper was using Beeper services and was, performing some esoteric magic. They were leveraging Apple servers for which they're not paying. Mm-hmm. And that just felt like way out of bounds. I mean,
it's sort of like endorsing Woz for phone freaking back in the 70s and saying, that should be okay. I mean, yeah, that was cool, Woz, but yeah, I don't think senators should be endorsing that.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the first time that there have been comments where Apple's been lumped in with a bunch of other tech companies because they're a large tech company, and whatever Apple's doing really had nothing to do with whatever the issue is. That mistake has been made before. So I don't know if it's a staff problem where they need somebody that's got more knowledge, or just bringing up an issue because it's fall and it's something to talk about. So, Jim, yeah, I agree. It's wrong in this case. I guess I don't want to discourage people from at least chatting about it. It would be nice for somebody to, come out and say, yeah, no, we were wrong on this one.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch how it goes forth, but I think it's fair to say that giving your Apple ID to anybody is not a great idea. And until we get a lot more information about how this is working, please be careful out there.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess you could set up a throwaway Apple ID. Not use it for anything else.
Yeah, but
to be able to use it to chat with people. Just use it for this. I mean, it's not going to be less secure than SMS messaging.
And why not just use some other service that doesn't require an Apple ID?
Because they want to be in group chats and things like that with a bunch of people that have iPhones. I'm not saying people should do this or that this should be allowed, but that's, I think, the motivation for, people in North America have a lot of acquaintances and friends and family that are on iPhones. And if you're not on an iPhone, then, you can't really participate in group chats and stuff like that. So this is a way to do that. I mean, I think it'd be great if Apple did come out with an Android app. I kind of think it's a mistake on Apple's part, but that's Apple's, that's Tim Cook's call to make, not mine.
Well, it's one of the reasons to buy an iPhone. So if you come out with a good service that also benefits Android, then that's one less reason to buy an iPhone for people. So I get it. Devil's advocate, as an iPhone user, it would be useful to me if I could chat and, have Android people in group chats and not, have to pay SMS rates and whatnot. So, it's not just a benefit. But, like I said, it's Apple's call to make. Apple is paying for the servers. It's Apple's protocols. I would like to think that I would make a different choice, but if I was Apple management, but I'm not Apple management, and they know things I don't know as well.
Craig in the chat room says, "Are we really interested in user experience for all?"
Well, like I said,
No.
I think it degrades my user experience too.
Yeah,
Chuck, I think he's saying user experience being equal for all.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Yes. Are we? So, that's it's a fair question, but I mean,
Apple is not.
That's up to the people
Apple's
that
not.
make Android phones and the Android OS.
well, that's right.
That shouldn't be up to Apple.
Yeah, then there's no differentiation. I mean, if that's the case, then everybody should get one user interface, and there should be no multiple companies or anything, or wouldn't be.
Well, I mean, there can be, but it's up to those companies to enhance the user experience. It's not up to Apple.
Well, no, I think, but you're missing out that network effects, and this is an interoperability thing. It's kind of like, the phone system. You used to be able to, you had to buy your phone from the phone company, and you couldn't even connect an answering machine or a cordless phone or anything. It was like Model Ts, whatever color you wanted, as long as it was black. And you couldn't even buy a phone. You could only rent them from the phone company. So, and yeah, sure. Actually, you could buy a phone, but you couldn't connect it to the network, so it wasn't worth anything. So this is a case where the value is the network. So there's nothing that on the Android side that they could do other than this kind of forging credential type of thing to connect. And the other thing would be to make a good system that was so good that iPhone users would drop using iMessage and use some other system, which apparently in most of the world that's what happens. This is really mostly a North American issue because people use WhatsApp and Signal.
There's an app for that. It's called WhatsApp. You just mentioned it. Yes.
I just said that.
Yeah, that's it. There are options. So, and Jim, your point is not lost on me, and I'm sure it's not lost on others. That there would be a benefit to iPhone users or Apple users if Apple were to allow this or go that direction. So it almost depends on which way you want to spin it. Just like I guess like the president of Beeper was spinning things, trying to make that point that, well, Apple's not servicing its customers to its best ability because they're not letting us, and this is my editorial comment, forge our way into their servers. So,
well, and I think if Apple ever did this, they should charge for it on non Apple platforms.
Which would be an interesting way to go.
Yeah. So that's, like, why did they do this originally? And why do they continue to do it? I think originally they were kind of trying to break the carrier monopoly on SMS systems, which were horrible and expensive and whatnot. So iMessage came along and, wow, this is great. I can send unlimited text to other iPhone users, and it doesn't cost me anything. And the way pictures work is better, and group chats is so there was like basically nothing. So now I don't know. Like, does Apple really sell that many extra phones? Do people actually? A significant number of people actually be like, I'm going to buy an iPhone because I want iMessage. Maybe so, but I don't know. And I wonder how much it costs Apple to run the service too.
If you believe what they tell us about the kids, the kids want the blue bubbles, then the answer is yes. I don't know that any of us would buy.
Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons to buy an iPhone. So
yeah, but that seems to be a driving force.
Maybe.
Yeah. Mark, last word, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this Beeper thing and sort of thinking about why would anyone want to create an app, in such a dicey area. And the only theory that I can create, that explains the motivation is, they're hoping to get acquired for a princely sum by Google or somebody else in a non-Apple phone ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Yeah, so that's why I think whoever was making the point about them making it free, I don't think that's their objective, that they're hoping to make money off of selling this app. I think they're hoping that this is something that could get acquired and make them another round of Google money. Because I think Google bought Pebble, did they not, Ben, or did just Pebble disappear on their own?
Pebble was bought by what was the one that by Fitbit, was then got bought by Google.
Okay.
Before we introduce the next topic, I want to mention that Webb Bixby couldn't be with us tonight, but he is in the chat room, and something we did not have on the slate. But Webb says he's using CarPlay in his Tesla and is working just fine. So I presume that he has the YouTube app loaded, and that's how he's listening or hearing us. But he reports that CarPlay is doing great.
Hey,
So,
Webb,
don't be watching
I've got to
YouTube
say,
while you're in your Tesla.
No, he has autopilot. It's fine.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, thumbs up.
So Webb, I'd ask you, so I heard this on Ken Ray's Mac OS Ken podcast this morning. He reported that it's out there, and he welcomed users who are listening to his podcast in their Tesla to take a screenshot and send it to him. So
yeah, that was the podcast app that came to Tesla.
Yes. So
why in Park?
Well,
exactly. So
I
go
think,
ahead. So Webb, if you listen to Mac OS Ken, shut the hell up, guys. Let me speak. So Webb, if you listen to Mac OS Ken, I'm sure he would appreciate getting your photo.
And hopefully his OS won't crash.
Amen.
I think if he's using CarPlay, it's got to be a hack. There are hacks to do that, but you can't get that from Tesla.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you can. That was the whole point. Is Tesla's
no podcast, not CarPlay.
It was part of the podcast. So Webb, it just may have been a misspeak. So anyway, we're going to move on.
Maybe he's beta testing.
Well, there are hacks. There are hacks that people have done.
The Mac Voices panel is back next time to talk about Apple's latest efforts to keep your iPhone from being stolen. That's next time on Mac Voices. I'll see you then. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices each month. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.